He's a person who does not speak often. He's a person who's speaking to an Indian media channel for the first time.
ये खुदा से एक बड़ा इनाम है जो हमारे ऊपर उसने हमको दे दिया, अता कर दिया। आए हमारे लिए बहुत खुशी का दिन है, हमारे आज़ादी का दिन है। उसको खैर मुकदम कहते हैं, उसके लिए हम इंशाल्लाह उसकी हेल्प अपने हर मुमलिकत के साथ, अगर वो भारत हो दूसरे हो साथ, हम इंशाल्लाह इन चीज़ों में हम अपनी हेल्प करेंगे।
Namaste and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narasimhan. Ladies and gentlemen, the challenge we are in the front of the world, especially India, is what do we do about this cobbled up militia and whether or not they're going to form a government, but where do we go from here? But more importantly, the implications for us security-wise, because there are many who are seen close to the Pakistani military establishment and seen to be as puppets in the hands of that establishment, and that means that there will be a perennial onslaught of this proxy war and the attempt to bleed India with 1,000 cuts in the coming days. And one of that important component is this Haqqani Network, because they are seen to be firmly in the lap of the Pakistan establishment, be it the ISI or what everybody, Lieutenant General KJ Singh, I keep quoting him, calls the Rawalpindi Shura. But here at CNN News 18, a world exclusive that we're going to set up, a conversation with Anas Haqqani. Anas Haqqani is an important cog in the wheel of the entire Haqqani network, coming out and telling CNN News 18 that it's not a network, they're all part of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Also saying that there will not be any interference by Afghanistan under the Taliban into Jammu and Kashmir. A big statement which, even as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, has been picked up, noted and observed not just across Pakistan but across many other countries in the Middle East who are watching closely what these leaders are saying and whether or not they will walk the talk. Let's try and understand the Haqqani Network first up quickly. This Haqqani Network and Sirajuddin Haqqani, he's the son of Mujahideen commander Jalaluddin Haqqani. He leads the Taliban's most feared military wing. He is the one who's Anas Haqqani's brother. He controls the financial military assets across the Afpak border. Their operations are largely in Waziristan. Behind several high-profile attacks and introduced suicide bombing to Afghanistan. The Americans have blamed a lot of attacks on Afghan soil against civilians and other and general population on the Haqqani network, including the Kabul Gurdwara bomb blast. Now, behind assassination attempt of former President Hamid Karzai, and if you look at it, he and his brother and the network are the ones that control the operations of the Haqqani network. ISI Haqqani network has been active since the 1970s. This is the rise as we track the rise of the Haqqani network. They have also focused on Afghanistan and this Afpak border area, which they again become a point of contention. That Durand line, they don't even consider it, but Pakistan wants them to recognize it. The other aspect, influence grew after 9/11 Taliban defeat, and then there were close ties with the Al-Qaeda, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan now, and aligned also with the Daesh or the IS Khorasan province. So they have worked with all these theologically aligned Islamic outfits, but to a particular end. For a Haqqani network to work closely with the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan while working with Al-Qaeda is something which many would believe is a complex web, not easy to understand and unearth. But they built the Taliban's financial network. They are the ones who have made the monies available, generated the donations and also the armed supplies too. Carried out violent attacks on Afghan, US and also international forces. This network is the military wing. And when they speak, when they say that they will not get directly involved in Jammu and Kashmir, it means a lot. Also begs the question that will the Taliban and will the Haqqanis choose the larger interest of Afghanistan and the Afghan people and want to yank themselves away or cut that umbilical cord which connects them to Pakistan? We'll talk about that and discuss it with our guests in just a bit. But first up, listen in to this conversation with Anas Haqqani. His father, Jalaluddin Haqqani, is the founder of the Haqqani Network. His brother currently runs the Haqqani Network. He himself, though, was incarcerated, charged with murder, then released, and now is an important member of this group which has taken over Afghanistan, that is the Taliban. He and his entire network, his family, is the reason why many across the world believe Pakistan exerts a certain amount of influence and interference in the functioning of the Taliban and may have a big role to play and a major say on what happens next in Afghanistan. He's a person who does not speak often. He's a person who's speaking to an Indian media channel for the first time. Joining us now here at CNN News 18 is Anas Haqqani. Anas Haqqani, नमस्ते. मेरा पहला सवाल आपसे यही है कि 20 साल बाद फिर से तालिबान अफगानिस्तान पर काबिज है. बात अब अमन की है, बात अब स्टेबिलिटी की है. आपको क्या लगता है आगे क्या होगा?
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम. ये खुदा का एक बड़ा इनाम है जो हमारे ऊपर उसने हमको दे दिया, अता कर दिया. हमने इस इनाम के लिए, हमने इस हदफ के लिए 20 साल जद्दोजहद कोशिश कर दिया. हमारे लिए बहुत खुशी का दिन है, हमारे आज़ादी का दिन है. हमारे सब लोगों के लिए, सब लोग इस पर बहुत खुश हैं. इंशाल्लाह और भी अच्छी और इससे भी अच्छी दिन आएंगे.
अमेरिका की तरफ, दुनिया की तरफ आपका नजरिया क्या होगा, क्योंकि आपको दुनिया एक नजर से देखती है?
हमारा जो पॉलिसी है, इस तरह हम दूसरों ममालिक के दाखिली मामले में हम मुदाखला नहीं करते. हम दूसरों से भी एक तमन्ना और ख्वाहिश करते हैं कि हमारे अंदर जो मसाइल है उसको मनफी नेगेटिव तरीके से मुदाखला न करे. जो सियासी ताल्लुकात है और जो इंसानी हेल्थ है उसमें हम सब दुनिया के लिए हमारे दरवाजे खुले हैं. उसमें कोई मुश्किल नहीं. हम सारे दुनिया के साथ, सारे ममालिक के साथ अच्छे से ताल्लुकात हम चाहते हैं.
अब ये माना जाता है कि, और भारत के नजरिए से अगर मैं आपसे ये पूछूं, तो हक्कानी नेटवर्क को पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तानी एस्टैब्लिशमेंट, खासकर आईएसआई का बहुत करीबी माना जाता है. आपके बहुत सारे बिजनेसेस, ऑपरेशंस जो हैं वो पाकिस्तान में है, वजीरिस्तान में है. इस पर आप क्या कहेंगे?
एक बात मैं जानता हूँ कि जो 20 साल हक्कानी नेटवर्क के निस्बत पर जो बात कह रहा है लोग, ये अमेरिकियों और दूसरे ममालिक जो अफगानिस्तान जंग और लड़ाई चाहता है उसका एक प्रोपागेंडा तबलीगात है. असल हकीकत में हक्कानी नेटवर्क कोई एक चीज भी नहीं है. इधर सारे एक इमारत इस्लामी है. हम उसके अंदर एक अमीर के अमर और क़यादत के नीचे हम काम करते हैं. एक बात ये है. दूसरे जो आपने सवाल कर दिया, ये भी एक तबलीगाती प्रोपागेंडा के लड़ाई झगड़े का एक जुज़ ऐसा है कि लोग कहते हैं कि वो पाकिस्तान और दूसरे के साथ ताल्लुकात है. और हमारे जो मालूमात है इस 20 साल में आपकी जो मीडिया है, इंडिया इसमें भी एक बहुत काम कर दिया लोगों की ज़हनियत को खराब करने में. ये बड़े अफसोस की बात है. इस तरह कोई हकीकत नहीं. आपने देखा है 20 साल में आप कोई जनरल पाकिस्तानी हथियार आप कोई लड़ाई में देख लिया. एक प्रोपागेंडा लड़ाई और जंग का एक हिस्सा है. हकीकत में इस तरह कोई चीज नहीं.
अब मैं आपसे जानना चाहता हूं कि भारत के साथ हक्कानी ग्रुप का, आपका और फिर तालिबान का कैसा रुख होगा?
میں نے پہلے حقانی نیٹ ورک کے نام سے کوئی چیز نہیں ادھر تھا، سب ایک عمارت کے عمارت اسلامی سارے ممالک کے ساتھ اچھے سے پازیٹیو تعلقات کے خیر خواہ ہے، پازیٹیو اور اچھے تعلقات چاہ رہے ہیں، اور اگر وہ ہندوستان کے دوسرے ممالک کے اس بھی ہمارا خواہش ہے کہ ہمارے اندر جو اپنے ہمارے درمیان کے مسائل ہے اس کا ہم کوئی ایک آدمی کو ایک مملکت کو کسی اجازت نہیں دے سکتے کہ وہ مداخلہ کرے، اس تقریب کرے اور نگیٹو طریقے سے کوشش کرے. اور ہمارے خواہش انڈین گورنمنٹ سے بھی یہی ہے، اس نے جو 20 سال ہمارے جو مخالف گورنمنٹ تھا، ہمارے جو مقابل میں کھڑا تھا، اس کے ساتھ اس نے صحیح اور سیکورٹی اور ملیٹری سائڈ میں بہت اس کے ساتھ ہیلپ کر دیا، اس نے چیز کے مستقبل کر دیا. اس کے بعد ہم پرانے بات کو ہم یاد نہیں کریں گے، لیکن ہمارے ارادہ ہے کہ ہم سارے اور سب ممالک ہندوستان شمول سب کے ساتھ اچھے تعلقات کر پائیں.
میں آپ سے یہ جاننا چاہتا ہوں کہ حقانی نیٹ ورک کو اور آپ کو پاکستان کا بہت قریبی مانا جاتا ہے. پاکستان جموں اینڈ کشمیر میں خلل کر رہا ہے، کشمیر ہی اس کے لیے ایک مدعا ہے. میرا سوال آپ سے یہ ہے کہ آپ کے لیے کیا کشمیر مدعا ہے؟ کیا آپ جموں کشمیر میں دخل کریں گے، پاکستان کے پراکسی وار کی مدد کریں گے؟
کشمیر ہمارے افغانستان کا جز نہیں ہے، ہمارے پالیسی واضح ہے. جب کوئی چیز ہمارے مملکت سے باہر ہے، ہمارے پالیسی ہے، ہم دوسرے ممالک معاملوں میں ہم مداخلہ نہیں کر سکتے.
تو آپ کہہ رہے ہیں کہ جموں کشمیر میں آپ دخل اندازی نہیں کریں گے، لشکر جیش ایسے آؤٹ فٹس کو آپ پناہ نہیں دیں گے، ٹریننگ نہیں دیں گے، جگہ نہیں دیں گے؟
نہیں، یہ بات ہم نے بار بار ہمارے جو اسپیکر ہے عمارت اسلامی، ہم نے بار بار اس کو رد کر دیا. یہ ایک پروپاگنڈا ہے.
بہت بڑی بات کہی ہے آپ نے، اس پر عمل ہوگا یہ ہمارا یقین ہے. ایک اور بات ہے کہ بھارت کا افغانستان میں بہت زیادہ انویسٹمنٹ ہے، بہت سارے ڈیولپمنٹ پروجیکٹس ہیں، کم سے کم 500 ڈیولپمنٹ پروجیکٹس ہیں، اس میں سے کئی سارے پینڈنگ ہیں، کچھ پورے ہو چکے ہیں. اگر بھارت وہاں آ کر ان پروجیکٹس کو کمپلیٹ کرنا چاہتا ہے تو کیا آپ اس کے لیے بھارت کی مدد کریں گے، اس کی اجازت دیں گے، یہ ہونے دیں گے؟
یہ آنے والے دنوں میں انشاءاللہ اس کو معلومات بھی ہو جائے، جو آج کل کون سی پالیسی ہے ہم اس پہ جانتے سمجھتے. جو کام ملت اور لوگ کے لیے خیر کے بنا پر کسی مملکت میں بھی کیا ہے، ہم اس کو خیر مقدم کہتے ہیں. اس کے لیے ہم انشاءاللہ اور بھی ہیلپ اپنے ہیلپ ہر مملکت کے ساتھ، اگر وہ بھارت ہو دوسرے ہو ساتھ بھی ہم انشاءاللہ اس چیزوں میں ہم اپنے ہیلپ کریں گے. اور جو چیز ملٹری یا امن ہمارے امن کو خراب نہیں کر سکتے، اور دوسرا امن کے تقویت کے لیے اس میں ہمارے لیے کوئی پرابلم بھی نہیں ہے، ہم اس کے لیے اس کی خیر پائیں.
بہت سارے بھارتی ناگرک ہیں جو افغانستان میں اب بھی پھنسے ہوئے ہیں، بہت سارے افغانی مول کے سکھ ہیں، ہندو ہیں جو وہاں ہیں، جو بھارت آنا چاہتے ہیں. کیا وہ سب محفوظ ہیں؟ ان کی سلامتی کے لیے آپ کچھ کریں گے؟ ان کو کیا کہنا چاہیں گے؟
آج کل ایک اگر وہ ہمارے اندر جو سکھ ہے، دوسرا لوگ ہے، کوئی اس طرح لوگ کی کوئی تشویش بھی نہیں. انشاءاللہ تشویش کی بات نہیں. اصل جو پروپاگنڈ 20 سال ہوا ہے اس کے لیے لوگوں میں تھوڑا سا خوف اور ڈر ہے، لیکن حقیقت میں اس طرح نہیں ہے. یہ ہمارے جو ادھر ہے ہمارے ملت کا اور ہمارے افغانستان کا ایک جز ہے، وہ دوسرے قوموں کی طرح ایک قوم ہے ادھر. ہم نے ماضی میں بھی اس کو ثابت کر دیا، اور اس کے ساتھ ہمارے کوئی مشکل نہیں ہے. دوسرے قوموں کے ساتھ جو ہمارے تعامل ہے انشاءاللہ اس کے ساتھ اس طرح ہوتا ہے.
پر انس حقانی جی، میں آپ سے جاننا چاہوں گا، 2020 میں کابل میں گرودوارے میں بہت بڑا اٹیک ہوا تھا، کم سے کم 27 لوگ وہاں مارے گئے تھے، اور اس کا دوش جو ہے امریکہ نے حقانی نیٹ ورک پر ڈالا تھا. آپ کیا کہیں گے؟
اس طرح جھوٹ بہت دعوے زیادہ ہے لوگوں نے کیا ہے ماضی میں. افسوس یہی تھا کہ میڈیا سب ہمارے جو مخالف لوگ تھے، ہمارے دشمن تھے، اس کے ہاتھ میں تھا. ہمارے لیے اس طرح اچھے سے چانس نہیں تھا کہ ہم اس کو ترتیب کریں، اس کو وضاحت کریں. یہ ایک دعویٰ ہے، ایک پروپیگنڈا ہے، حقیقت میں اس طرح کوئی چیز نہیں.
تو آپ کہہ رہے ہیں یہ ایک نیریٹو ہے، ایک پروپیگنڈا ہے، آپ نے ایسا نہیں کیا. لیکن آپ کو تو موت کی سزا دی گئی تھی 2016 میں، پھر آپ کو پرزنرز ایکسچینج میں چھوڑ دیا گیا. آپ کی کیا بھومکا ہوگی طالبان میں؟
ابھی اس دنوں میں، آنے والے دنوں میں معلومات مجھے نہیں ہے. ہم وہ دوسرے لوگوں کی طرح نہیں تو آپ دنیا میں دیکھ سکتے ہیں جو قدرت کا، جو کرسی کا شوق اس کے ساتھ ہے. ہمارا کام عقیدے کے، ہم مسلمان ہیں الحمدللہ. ہمارا جو بڑا ہدف تھا وہ ہمارے اپنے مملکت کو آزادی کا، ہمارے اسلامی نظام کا قیام تھا. وہ الحمدللہ وہ جو دوسرے اجنبی لوگ امریکی ہوتے اس کا اخراج تھا. ابھی الحمدللہ وہ ہدف ہمارے ہاتھ میں آ گیا. دوسرے جو کرسی یا منصب یا وظیفوں کی بات ہے، ہم اس سے کوئی پرواہ بھی نہیں. اگر بڑے کے ساتھ کوئی ارادہ ہے اور ہم اس پر کوئی رد نہیں کرتے، اس کا اطاعت ہم کریں. ہم اپنے صدر، ہم اپنے بڑوں کے ایک خادم ہیں.
بھارتی ناگرکوں کی سیفٹی پر آپ کیا گارنٹی دینا چاہیں گے؟
یہ ہم نے اپنے ایک دو ہفتے سابقہ 2 ہفتے جو تھے، ہم جب کابل آئے، اس میں ہم نے بہت اچھا سا جو پروجیکٹ جو کام تھا ہم نے ثابت کر لیا. ہمارے جو بڑے دشمن تھے، ہمارے جو مخالف لوگ تھے، جو مخالف گورنمنٹ میں، اس نے کام کر لیا. اگر مارنے کا بات تھا یا اس کی کوئی مشکل کی بات تھا یا اس کی جیل کی بات تھا، سب سے پہلے اس کے لیے لازم تھا. لیکن ہم نے جو حقوں کا اعلان کر دیا، ہم نے جو تحمل سے کام کر لیا. ہم الحمدللہ مسلمان ہیں، ہر کام اسلامی اصولوں کے مطابق کرنا چاہتے ہیں. دوسرے جو لوگ ہیں، اگر وہ ہر مملکت سے یا ہر قوم سے تعلق رکھتا ہے، اس کے لیے کوئی تشویش کی بات نہیں ہے. یہ جو پروپیگنڈا تبلیغات ہوا ہے 20 سال میں، لوگوں کے ساتھ اس وجہ سے تشویش ہے، لیکن کوئی مشکل نہیں. انشاءاللہ ہم اس کے لیے اپنے اسلامی اصول کے مطابق سب کو لیے انشاءاللہ ہم اطمینان دیتے ہیں.
افغانستان کی عورتوں میں بہت زیادہ خوف ہے. ان کو لگتا ہے کہ ان کی آزادی چھین لی جائے گی، ان کو گھروں میں قید کر دیا جائے گا. آپ ان کو کیا ایشورنس دینا چاہیں گے، خاص کر افغانستان کی عورتوں کو؟
یہ بات جو ہے انشاءاللہ ایک دو دن آنے والے دنوں میں انشاءاللہ معلوم ہو جائے. جب نیا گورنمنٹ حکومت انشاءاللہ اعلان ہو جائے، سب پالیسی اگر عورتوں کے متعلق ہے، مردوں کے متعلق ہے، دوسرے کوئی چیز ہے، اس میں انشاءاللہ ظاہر ہو جائے گا. اس کے لیے ہم آپ کے تھوڑا سا کرنا چاہتے ہیں.
ایک سوال اور میں آپ سے کرنا چاہوں گا ڈیورنڈ لائن کو لے کر. کیا آپ اسے پاکستان اور افغانستان کے بیچ کی پرماننٹ بارڈر ریکھا مانتے ہیں، لکشمن ریکھا؟
یہ بات جو ہے یہ بھی آنے والے دنوں میں مستقبل میں ہمارے جو آنے والے اسلامی ٹورنامنٹ ہے، ہمارے اکابر ہے، اس سے متعلق ہے. آنے والے دنوں میں انشاءاللہ ظاہر ہو جائے. یہ قبل الوقت اس کا اظہار کرنا ایک شخصی رائے ہو سکتے اور رسمی نہیں ہو سکتے. اس میں بات کرنا کوئی مفید نہیں.
امریکن ٹروپس تو چلے گئے، امریکہ چلی گئی، اب افغان لوگوں کے ہاتھ میں ہے، آپ کے ہاتھ میں ہے افغانستان. سرکار کب بن رہی ہے؟ اس دشا میں کتنا کام ہوا ہے اور کب تک کابل میں سرکار کی گھوشنا ہوگی؟
جو بڑا مشکل تھا وہ امریکیوں کا وجود تھا جو ادھر کل تک کابل میں تھا. الحمدللہ وہ کل رات کو نکل گیا. ہمارے جو صبر اور انتظار تھا اس کے لیے جو بڑا وجہ تھا وہ یہی تھا. انشاءاللہ میں امیدوار ہوں کہ آنے والے 1 یا 2 یا 3 دنوں میں انشاءاللہ نئے گورنمنٹ کا اعلان انشاءاللہ ہو جائے.
کس طرح کی سرکار کی امید کر رہے ہیں آپ؟
وہ بھی انشاءاللہ وہ اعلان میں، وہ نقشے میں انشاءاللہ معلوم ہو سکتے ہیں. اس لیے کہ ہمارے جو طبیعت ہے، ہمارے جو اصول ہے، ہم احتمالات پر بات کرنا پسند نہیں کر سکتے. ہم چاہتے ہیں کہ جب حقیقت معلوم جائے اس پر بات کریں. آگے میرے ساتھ بھی اس طرح دقیق معلومات جو بڑے اس پر کام کرتے اور پورا معلومات میرے ساتھ ہے، اس لیے میں نہیں چاہتا کہ اس پر میں احتمالی بات پر بات کروں.
ایک سوال اور میں آپ سے کرنا چاہوں گا. میں جانتا ہوں آپ کے پاس سمے کم ہے، پر یہ سوال ضروری ہے. دنیا کس طرح کا رخ رکھے اب افغانستان کی اور طالبان کی اور؟ کیونکہ آپ کو دنیا سے ریکگنیشن کی ضرورت ہے، किस तरह का रिश्ता बनाना चाहते हैं भविष्य में?
उनको ये कोई तशवीश की बात नहीं है। सब लोग अब जानते हैं हमने जो अमरीकियों के साथ मुज़ाकरात का सिलसिला अच्छी तरीके से निहाई कर दिया। और दुनिया अभी जानते हैं कि हम तामुल के लोग भी है, सियासत के लोग भी है। जो प्रोपागेंडा जो तब्दीलात हुआ है वो झूठा। अब सारे ममालिक इस नुक्ते पर, इस पॉइंट को समझते और जानते हैं। और जो लोग अब तक अफगानिस्तान में लड़ाई चाह रहे हैं, अमरीकियों या दूसरा अजनबी लोग का वजूद इधर चाह रहा है, वो शायद अभी भी मुखालिफत कर ले, एक बहाना कर ले, वो उसका बात है। लेकिन अब हमारे जो मालूमात है, हमारे जो तजुर्बा है, और सारे ममालिक के साथ अभी इत्मीनान है। हम भी इंशाल्लाह सारे दुनिया के साथ मुतकाबिल तामुल चाह रहे हैं अच्छी तरीके से। दूसरों से भी हमारे ख्वाहिश है कि हमारे अंदर जो अंदरूनी मामलात है उस पर मुदाखला न करें।
अनस हक्कानी जी, आपने कहा तो बहुत कुछ है, अब कितना आप कर दिखाते हैं इस पर निर्भर है कि आगे आगे क्या होगा और दुनिया का, भारत का आपकी ओर क्या रुख होगा। अफगानिस्तान के लोगों को आपसे उम्मीदें अभी फिलहाल नहीं है, पर क्या आप उनका दिल जीत पाते हैं, ये देखने वाली बात होगी। थैंक यू वेरी वेरी मच फॉर स्पीकिंग टू अस हियर at CNN News 18. So the big question, will the Taliban shun Pakistan in the larger interest of Afghanistan? And if we dissect this, ladies and gentlemen, they've got more issues with Pakistan and than they have with us or any other country that surrounds them. So let's get into the discussion straight away. Ambassador Parthasarathi, former diplomat with us. Lieutenant General KJ Singh, former General Officer Commanding in Chief of the Western Command, is also with us. We also have Mursal Nurzai, is an Afghan activist and a Deputy Chair lady in Jung Union, CSU, Germany. We also have Dr. Fawzia Rauf, Afghan PTM activist, who's with us. And Dr. Roger Liu is also with us. Lieutenant General KJ Singh, two leaders among the top 5 of the Taliban, Shura and the Core Network, have said in the last 48 hours that they will not directly get involved in Jammu and Kashmir. They will not allow Afghanistan to be used in a proxy war by Pakistan against India. How would you see the comments made by Sher Mohammad Stanekzai and now Anas Haqqani? And many have thought that it's the Haqqani Network which is the puppet in the hands of the Pak establishment.
Anand, the situation is very sort of murky at this stage. It's not clear at all because such assurances have to be ensured on the ground. Now, Taliban is operating, as I said once earlier also, at 3 levels. At level 1 is people who talk the right lingo, who give the correct vibes. They know the compulsions of finding acceptance and recognition and unlocking that $10 billion which is locked currently. So they are people like Stanekzai and Anas Haqqani. They are well schooled, well heeled, and they will make right noises. At the level 2 are certain commanders who can also be probably this thing. But the danger is level 3. How are you going to ensure compliance over there? Now, one thing which is good for us is that since Taliban 1.0, things have changed drastically. We have LC fence in place. At line of control, we have a proper fence. We have Rashtriya rifles, which has been raised, deployed, and which has proved its worth. And today, the terrorism in Kashmir is largely endemic. It is it is getting some sustenance from outside, but it's not the main driver. So it is the endemic nature which has to be tackled. And we have revoked Article 370. We have also conducted the district development elections. So with all this, their capability to influence events here is limited. But all the same, I am not very sure about their assurances. We'll have to get them verified. We'll have to remain vigilant. Our intelligence agencies will have to work overtime to see what is happening. and work in collaboration with Americans, with Israelis, and other friends, so that we get correct inputs, and we have to keep our vigilance up.
Correct.
Because these kind of activities give fillip to these groups who are already in euphoric mood. So there are more people who are wanting to go the Fidayeen way and say, if we can defeat America, why not now take on India? So unless they prove it on ground, we can't take their guarantees at face value.
I agree, but the other aspect is that there is a strong grid which is in place as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, and you raise the right points. But if they're trying to shift the theatre of action into Himachal, into Punjab, into Haryana, into other regions, and to try and do it all in the name of J&K, then we have serious internal security issues that could arise. But for them to make a statement like this, and I'm sure the Pakistanis are watching, I'm sure the establishment is listening to the likes of Stanik Zai and Anas Haqqani and what they're telling us here at CNN News 18, Ambassador Parthasarathi. You raised the issue of the Haqqanis yesterday when we were speaking. And now Anas Haqqani says that we are not a network. We are not Haqqani Network. We are all part of one building, that's the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan.
Well, that is said by him. The fact of the matter is he has very little to do with Afghanistan. The bulk of their properties are in Pakistan, either in North Waziristan or in the capital Islamabad, where they can liaise daily with the ISI. So one thing we should be very careful, as the previous speaker said, is keep a very tight watch with every resource you have on the Haqqanis. Don't take anything they say at face value. Now, coming back to the other issue, we will have to move cautiously and assess at every stage what is happening. Don't forget that the Haqqanis now control the interior minister and internal security of Afghanistan.
Correct.
Though their home is North Waziristan. So they will get access, or they will seek to get access to those potent weapons, tens of thousands of rifles and what have you, the Americans have left behind.
Yes.
That is the Haqqani aim of interior. So I think we should be very careful of this.
Right.
But we shouldn't put ourselves negative because of this. So let us sound out the Afghans how they prepare us to go. Stanik Zai and Mullah Baradar, who's supposed to be taking over as foreign minister, is a very responsible man, which can only mean that Hibatullah Akhundzada, who's again called the supreme commander of the Taliban, will be taking over the organization. Whether he works from Kandahar or Kabul has to be seen.
Well, it is Akhundzad who has actually divided this entire power structure between Mullah Yaqub, who is Mullah Umar's son, and the Haqqani, Sirajuddin Haqqani and Anas Haqqani, and empowered each with two different wings. And now we are given to understand, and Praveen Swami has done a very elaborate article on First Post, and we're just picking some inputs from there and putting it out here, that there is a power struggle, ladies and gentlemen. Let's try and go across to that and try and understand why there is a power struggle. And the power struggle, the way we see, is purely because they each wants a bigger pound of flesh, and then there are different forces that are acting. Why is it that Hibatullah Akhundzad, last time when Mullah Omar and the Taliban takeover happened, he was there at Kandahar opening that entire treasure chest and picking out that holy piece of cloth, that's the shawl worn by the Prophet as he went to Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's what the fable is, and he held that to try and legitimize. But Akhundzad is been missing this time around. He's not there. He actually came to Kandahar just a few days ago, and he's been there holed up. Why is it? He's largely unseen after the victory. Why? And when you ask the senior members of the Taliban, where is Akhundzad, they say when the time is right, he'll come. But all the notices and all the calls that they're issuing are all on his name. War between Taliban's eastern versus southern Afghan factions, and the eastern faction is the Haqqanis, and Mullah Yaqub is the southern faction. The other aspect is the faction from eastern Afghanistan is the one that leads the military, and that's under the Haqqanis. Then the faction from southern Afghanistan leads the leadership council, and that's under Mullah Yaqub. So now there is a tussle there too. Let's try and understand the Afghan dynamics. Let's go to the ladies with us who will also tell us between Pashtun, Pakistan, and the ethnicity Afghanistan, Pakistan. How do you think they will behave? Or is it all doom and gloom as far as Afghanistan is concerned? Ms. Nurzai, I'm going to start with you, and then I will also bring in Dr. Fauzia.
Thank you for having me. Well, I think at this time of point, Afghans are not, the Afghans who are left behind are not fighting that who is Pashtun or who is Tajik or who is Hazara. It's about the Afghans who are left behind are in danger, and they're worried about their lives. And I don't think so that at this point of time, they are fighting with each other, but the fight is more rather bigger with Taliban and the other group, which they say that they have no relations with, which is not true. The ISK and the Haqqanis, they are part of the same organization or hierarchy, as I call them. And there will be a genocide, which I believe there will be a genocide, which we are worried and which we are concerned about, because we do believe that whether it's ISK or Taliban or Haqqanis, they're going to target the minorities, which whether they are Shias or whether they are Hazaras, and they will try to demolish or try to start a genocide in the country. So this is the greatest fear that we have, because a great population of people will be destroyed, will be demolished from the name of from the whole history from Afghanistan. And the biggest problem is that they have the resources, which is left behind by the US. They have the resources within Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is 90% of the opium globally is being produced in Afghanistan, and it's cost around the annual return in investment is around between 1.5 and $3 billion.
Yes.
So not only that, but it's very rich in mineral resources, and that's around, I was looking at it, it's 1 billion industry. So forget about the fact that they have foreign fundings that they get, and I'm talking about about Pakistan and ISI and the individuals who are funding Taliban and the other terrorist groups. By 2018, BBC reported that the annual income of Taliban is around $1.5 billion dollars. So we are looking, it's not about whether they're going to kill or they're not going to kill people. It's more bigger than that. They have so much power now because of the resources and the money that they have, that they will start the genocide, and that they will take the power. They have taken the power in Afghanistan, and they will rule the country and make it a very fine and very comfortable heaven for all terrorist groups and organizations.
Because, I agree, and this is a common concern. This is a concern which everybody has, Ms. Nurzai. But Dr. Fauzia, if I may ask you, Dr. Rauf, thing is, compared to the last time around, this time around, they have taken more than 20 days now, and they don't have a government in place. They've not named a supreme leader. They have not named anybody who's going to be taking a position. There's no government. This is very unlike what happened the last time around. What's different this time around, and how do you see things happening? And do you think this time the struggle is that really the Taliban wants to break clean? They may not have the legitimate right now, but are they trying to break clean from anybody trying to control them? And are they trying to do something which is very different from the last time around? How do you see the things developing? Or is it the same as last time?
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. And that was when I heard Anas Haqqani, Mursal Jan, and also our Indian brother. Everybody has their own vision or view about their existence. The first thing they are there, we all saw it, and now we are talking to them, engaging with them. And your question is very, very important. This one, because if you look at it, this time they took this window period. You mentioned the Kharqe Mubarak, which last time Mullah Omar came and he wore it, and everything was, they were really quick to put things in action. But this time they are taking their time. And that window period that they're taking, what is that? Are they really looking at to make a government which can be acceptable by globally? And what kind of government that would be? If it's a Sharia law, well, the Saudi has that law, and everybody is doing trade, and every country has their embassies in Saudi Arabia. If that form of constitution they are giving to Afghan community, which Afghan community is receptive of that. And the other thing, then the Amirul Mu'mineen, which they had before, and now they're bringing another Amirul Mu'mineen. That form is also not new to the world, because if you see Xi Jinping, he is the chairman for life.
Yeah, even Iran has a similar.
They may not have a royal family like Saud, Faisal Khandan, who are ruling from children to children from children.
Correct.
They will be electing at different stage when their Amirul Mu'mineen died from anyone who is eligible for that post, just like the China. So that would be.
Yes, please.
Ruling would be that more. And then Mossad brought the minorities issues and Taliban, and especially Mullah.
Oh, we've just lost the link with Dr. Rauf. We'll try and get her back because she's putting matters into. She's back. Yes, Dr. Rauf. We lost you momentarily.
Yeah.
Please complete. Yeah. So you were talking about what what Ms. Nurzai had said.
Yeah. So that's a very important question she raised. But then Taliban, what Anas Haqqani is right now speaking with us, and Mullah brother, who is free, and he completed his sentence for whatever crime they had, or why US has released them. There has to be a question mark on them. But still now they are not in shackle. They are free. They are in Afghanistan. And for me, the biggest concern is how much they would be under the influence of ISI. Are they free? As much as they are free from their shackle, they are no more in their jail and in their custody. Will they be taking decision as free, or still influenced by the ISI advices? And another thing Ms. Nurzai mentions, opium. I quickly want to go to that. As the UN removed marijuana, recreational or medicinal. So if they remove that too, since Afghanistan land is a very fertile land, to replace opiums with marijuana and make it globally legal, as people are trying to federally here in America, and it's been legal in Canada. So my point of bringing this marijuana versus open is giving Taliban a line across how much they are going to do thing which is acceptable globally. So the global, I say Vasudeva Kutumbakam, world is one family. So how many, despite all the bad they have done, now how much they are looking forward to the future to be a part of this global family. So the global family, including India, would have the trust of Taliban to be present there, to spy on the faction which is
let me ask you this. Let me ask you
India.
this. Since you are also with the PTM or the Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, let me ask you, what is going to be, because there is an inevitability, much as many of us may not like it, the Taliban are going to form a government or an administration. Now the challenge for them will be that their immediate border issue, that is the Durand line, is with the Pakistanis. The Pakistanis want that entire line sealed. They put barricaded or wired up 97% of that entire line, which runs right from Balochistan all the way up into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, through Waziristan, all those regions. Okay, so let me ask you this. What will the Taliban choose? The interest of the Pashtun, interest of the Afghan people at large, that means Pashtun, Tajik, Hazara, all of them, or will they listen to what Pakistan is asking them to do?
That was what I said, that how much they are under the influence of Pakistani agencies, ISI. for me, I would never compromise on Durand line as Mullah Umar didn't. It's not me who's saying, it's the resources or agency who tried to bring Mullah Umar on the table to accept that as an international border, which is FM Qureshi wishful thinking. But as an Afghan, it's not me to decide. It's the 70 million or 60 million Pashtun in Pakistan, or the PTM, Ali Wazir, Usman Kakar, who gave his life for us. We are one. As Kashmir is an integral part of India politics, and it's a sharad, and which I totally agree, it should be given back to India. All Kashmir belongs to India, and from Amul to Abbasin till Attak, that is what's my ancestral land. And
so
this
that is
Durand land would
Pakhtunistan.
what? Yes, it's a greater Afghanistan. It's a part of Afghanistan. You can call it Pashtunistan. You can call it Peshawar. It's a part of my civilization. It's the part where Kapisa, Peshawar, and Taxila was the capitals to King Kanishk. And that is something I can never... if Taliban failed me there, then I would be totally disappointed at them. I wasn't disappointed at Mullah Umar when it comes to Durand line, but if Taliban, despite whatever they did, the world saw it, but the world, including us, we are speaking with them. But this is what, if they did it, would be I would call them the one which Malalay of my one say, that I would be giving them sort of atana, which we think that they are not the legitimate son of Afghan soil or my motherland, Afghanistan, because that is my land and it's a part of my motherland. So
I get that sentiment, and I just want to quickly share some information before I go to Dr. Roger Liu and then circle back to General Singh and Ambassador Parthasarathy. These are the atrocities the Pakistanis have committed on the Pashtuns, and there is a reason why I'm talking about the Pashtuns, because largely the Taliban, even today, out of that entire 70,000 cobbled up group, largely they are Pashtun origin. Now there may be some Uzbeks, some Chechen and some other groups, Tajiks and also present there, but largely they are Pashtun. Alleged genocide in federally administered tribal area and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. These are the charges. 70,000 Pashtuns allegedly killed in the last 16 years. Pakistan has been blamed for brazen human rights violations against the Pashtuns. Discriminated, killed, tortured, detained by labeling them as terrorists. And thousands, including activists, missing. There have been extrajudicial killings which are now considered a routine. This Pashtun Tahaffuz movement was started by students, youngsters. 3 of them who started this, and it's become such a huge movement. Pashtun areas filled with landmines, movement largely restricted at checkpoints. So this is the situation. Now, Dr. Roger Liu, how would you see the situation evolving? And will the Taliban want to yank themselves off, just like the US did? Will they want to yank themselves off any control by the Pakistanis?
Well, Anand, first, thank you very much for giving this opportunity to talk and to discuss with you. I will say that, well, Taliban is a very complicated group, or whatever you want to call it. It is a political movement that based on extreme conservative Islamism. So there are a lot of factions inside. So, well, now we see, well, that there are some allies that work with, like the Haqqani Network, and you have exclusive interview with. So we have, I think the safe strategy for India is to wait first, just like what the United States did during the Chinese Civil War. There's a famous quote that the U.S. should wait until the dust settled. But India has a lot of time to wait until the dust settles to see what's going on there, because now we don't even know who is the power holder, who has actually the capability to stabilize the whole situation. The whole situation is very chaotic over there. Now we have a Haqqani Network who try to make contact with India. Tomorrow we may have another faction from Taliban who try to contact India as well. And don't forget about the Panjshir people. belongs to the Northern Alliance, still
Yes.
fighting against Taliban. So the whole situation is very chaotic. So I think we should wait. And we have to pay attention to the role that China plays here as well. Because if you notice, there's a very interesting news also got reported recently from Ambassador of Pakistan to China, Haq,
Yeah.
said that, well, the Pakistan expect India to play a positive and constructive role in Afghanistan. That's really strange because the occasion that he says that is the interview by the Global Times, which is the Chinese tablet and the
Right.
propaganda channel. Why is he make such a statement to the Chinese propaganda to India? What he's trying to do, actually, I think China is looking for someone to share the risk that they have invited in Afghanistan. They don't want to face Taliban by themselves. So they try to get all other great powers, including
Right.
India. And by doing that, actually, well, they're
Very-
trying to set us into a game that we have to play. And now we are being approached by Haqqani Network. And if that all come together, we will stand ourselves inside of this network, and we cannot get out. So I
We-
think it's smart for us to
Very,
observe for a
very
while.
interesting, very interesting point of view there, where you say, and that's why I just, I know I take my time to come across to you, but Dr. Rojulu, but you always bring in a perspective which just shows a different dynamic. Now, again, there were experts who said that the Chinese and the Pakistanis don't know what they have gotten into, and they're going to get stuck stuck here, just like the Russians did in the past, the Americans did. Now it's the turn of the Chinese and the Pakistanis who are really going to hurt because of what they're trying to do, and their machinations will fail. Now you are saying that the Chinese perhaps want India to also jump in so that they can share the risk, or they can pass off the buck and perhaps not sink altogether and try and remain afloat, while trying to perhaps also drag India into this entire mess. You talked about the Panjshir resistance. There has been heavy casualties for the Taliban forces. I'm running out of time, but I quickly want to play out what Mohammad Fahim Dashti has told us here at CNN News 18. This is Ahmad Masood's aide and also spokesperson of the National Resistance Front.
In the past 40 hours, Taliban have had some offensive through the Khawak High Pass from the Andarab Valley of Baghla. From our side, there were local forces of Andarab, different districts of Andarab, local forces of Panjshir, as well as the ANSF forces. They have defended very well. They have defeated Taliban on that front. Taliban have lost 40 of their personnel, another 35 of them were wounded. 4 armies of Taliban were destroyed, 2 rangers of Taliban were destroyed, and they did not succeed on their offensive, and they did not advance even a kilometer. September 1st, 2021, Panjshir.
Well, that's the update coming through that Taliban have suffered losses. I'm thanking all my guests because we've got some big development coming in closer home. There is an update coming through. Arunima has gotten this update where sources are pointing fingers at the former Home Minister of Maharashtra, Anil Deshmukh, and a CBI inquiry has found Anil Deshmukh tried to influence CBI officers to close the preliminary inquiry against him. Sources are saying that the role of Anil Deshmukh and his lawyers has been established and that illegal gratification was made to junior level officers. Arunima with the details. Yes, Arunima, this is big. This is a direct charge of attempt to bribe or corruption.
Yes, if this is proved in a court of law, it will be an additional criminal case against Anand Deshmukh. CBI is convinced that they have gotten to the bottom of what was a huge embarrassment. Just a few days ago, that preliminary inquiry copy of the document was made public on social media, in which recommendations had been made to close the PE and not convert it into an FIR. At that point, CBI had come out with a statement saying that further investigation is on and the copy of the PE is available in public domain. Now, sources tell me that CBI, which had ordered an internal inquiry, had found that officers at the level of investigating officers, so this is DSP and below, at that level, illegal gratification was made, and this illegal gratification was accepted by these CBI officers from Anil Deshmukh's lawyer. Some expensive gadgets have been recovered, we are told, by the probe team, by the inquiry team, and that kind of establishes the chain, they say. They're also not too happy with the role that Maharashtra government has played in this case, and that is also part of the inquiry, I'm told, or whether this was a part of the larger conspiracy to save Anil Deshmukh. And why CBI's inquiry team is suspecting this is because sources point out to me that the High Court order was very categorical, that all agencies must cooperate with CBI. However, as far as files, documents, etc. are concerned, they were not handed over to CBI. So was this also part of a larger conspiracy? On that,
Right.
the probe is still on. But as far as illegal gratification goes, CBI is convinced this was a conspiracy to bribe and change the PE to not an FIR.
There is hard proof that Anil Deshmukh, a senior leader, former Home Minister of Maharashtra, and his lawyers tried to bribe CBI officials to try and close the PE against him. That's the big news that we're going to wind up this edition of The Right Stand with. Arunima, thank you for your inputs. To all our viewers, thank you very much for watching. Stay with us. Brass Tacks with Zaka up next.